Thank you, Jason David Frank.
And Mr. Saban.
That's Tom.
And that's Chris.
Deco, what's on deck for our second to last episode of Season 1?
If you haven't seen the new Power Rangers movie, stop this video right now because today's episode is an in-depth analysis of the new movie.
It's our spoiler-filled review, so stay tuned.
It's PRNT time.
This is Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger. You are watching PRNT. Wow, wow.
Welcome, Rangers,
To this episode of
PRNT,
your source for all things
Power Rangers.
On this episode, we've seen the movie 3 times, 4 times. Yeah, we are going to give our in-depth, spoiler-filled review of the movie.
That's right. We're going to talk about the things we liked, the things we didn't, character development, Easter eggs, and anything else that might cross our mind.
Again, this is a spoiler-filled
Spoiler alert!
review.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
I'm going to see how long you're going with it. But you've been warned.
With that being said, let's get started. And what better place to start than with the beginning of the movie? The first 5 minutes. And that may even be a stretch, but the very beginning of this movie answered so many questions we had going in.
We find out, yes, both Zordon and Rita were Rangers. Yes, Rita betrayed the rest of her team. And yes, the Zeo Crystal does play an important role in this movie.
Plus, we find out Zordon was responsible for the extinction of dinosaurs.
Yeah, I actually want to spend some time talking about that.
Okay.
If you paid attention in school, you may have learned that dinosaurs went extinct at the end of the Cretaceous period, which is part of the Mesozoic era, not part of the Cenozoic era, like the movie says.
So the movie was wrong.
Not exactly.
Okay, do you care to elaborate?
Well, many scientists label the extinction of dinosaurs as the Cretaceous Tertiary extinction event because it's the dividing line between the two periods.
Okay, so let me guess. While the Cretaceous period is part of the Mesozoic era,
right?
The Tertiary period is part of the Cenozoic era, thus suggesting the movie isn't exactly wrong.
Well, I didn't exactly say that either.
Okay, so now what's wrong?
Many scientists believe that the meteor that was responsible for killing the dinosaurs hit off the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. And of course, Angel Grove is supposedly in California. Close, but not close enough. But movie makers, you get points for trying.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm good.
Well, despite the potential scientific inaccuracy of the opening scene, it is probably one of our favorite openings ever.
How did you feel about Rita and Zordon being Rangers?
Okay, so first off, it makes total sense.
It does.
Yeah. I don't know, like, I wish I could have seen more of that. Mm-hmm. I heard that they're in the possible works of doing
a prequel.
Yes, a prequel movie, and I would love to see that movie.
Yeah. I think we kind of both felt going in that we knew Zordon was going to be the Red Ranger.
Yeah, there were little leaks and spoilers online everywhere.
Yeah. Andrew Gray. But Rita being one, I mean, it makes sense. It explains how she has a green coin in her possession way better than the show ever did. So it just kind of tied everything together nicely.
The next thing we want to talk about is character development.
This movie offered us insights into the lives of the Rangers that we just haven't seen before.
We see Jason as the star quarterback, but he isn't the typical jock type.
He's not stuck up, walking around with his chest all puffed out, you know. He actually sticks up for Billy the Nerd during Jason's first Saturday in detention. So, yes, Jason is or was the jock, but he has that good heart as well.
Billy is both funny and smart, which is kind of ironic because Billy's autism doesn't allow him to read humor or sarcasm in the tones of voices of other people.
It is ironic because Billy is the comic relief of this movie. Just listen to his crayon story. It's funny, and his little quips, you know.
Billy Cramston.
Yeah, that rung my bell, you know, just things like that. Funny, very ironic, but very awesome just the same.
Naomi Scott's Kimberly was a little less Valley Girl, like, say, with Amy Jo Johnson. Has more of a spunky, I'll show you kind of mentality.
This was evident right away when she gives herself a haircut after being cut from the lives of her so-called friends.
Trini is the mysterious one of the group. We don't know a lot about her, except she comes from a normal family, which she seems to resent with all of her being. She opens up to her friends a lot more than she does her own family.
Most think it's because she is LGBT and she doesn't know how to tell her family, but this theory is never confirmed, although it is hinted at
pretty strongly.
Pretty strongly, right, yeah.
It's clear from the beginning that Zach uses humor to hide behind, so he doesn't have to face pain that he bears with his mom being sick at home.
It was nice to see him be a little more serious and open to the other Rangers around that campfire scene. We saw a lot of team bonding there during that moment.
It was a nice scene.
Yeah, and the Rangers were just able to be themselves. The
last character we want to talk about that had some nice character development, which we never really saw in the show, was Zordon.
You may remember that in the TV show, Zordon knows his place and is fine being the mentor to the new team.
When we see Zordon first in this movie, however, he is both surprised and unsupporting of the New Ranger team, wanting to come back and fight Rita himself.
We see him time and time again tear down the new team, give Jason a hard time, and even say that he, Zordon, should be the one leading this team.
When Billy died, however, that changed all that. While the Rangers bring in Billy's body, we see them finally come together as the team that they need to be to morph, and with that, the morphing grid opens up to them.
This is Zordon's chance to kind of step through the grid and resume his role as the Red Ranger, but he chooses not to. Instead, he allows Billy's spirit or soul or whatever it is to come back across, thus bringing Billy back to life.
Seeing the Rangers' reaction to Billy clearly changes Zordon's mind about this team, and he accepts his new role as mentor.
Now, you may be wondering about the character development of Rita, so here goes.
She's pure evil.
And that's it. That's all you need to know.
Elizabeth Banks did an amazing job with Rita. She's no longer that laughable space witch of the show. She's now this evil horror movie-like villain, and she just gives us the heebie-jeebies.
But on the plus side, she's much hotter, so yeah, there's that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Moving on now, let's talk about things we noticed, some Easter eggs that you may have missed.
First thing I want to talk about is how the morphing grid is depicted in this movie. First off, it's a lot more present than we've seen in the past.
We have been told that the space-looking chess pieces and the veins of light that are on the suits is actually the morphing grid's presence in the suits.
Something that made me happy is Zordon kind of confirms a theory that we had about the morphing grid being a self-conscious entity.
To set this up, remember that Zordon didn't choose this team of Rangers. The power coins found and chose them.
To confirm this, when the Rangers show Zordon the power coins, he said the morphing grid is never wrong. Which means that the grid did choose the Rangers, which implies that the morphing grid is a self-conscious entity and found the people it needed to be Rangers.
We also get to see the power of the Morphin Grid when we see the red power coin teleports from Jason's bedroom to the bathroom, and again when the coins of Jason, Kim, and Billy heat up the cafeteria counter and then begin to float.
Only if I lived in that universe. My area of expertise would be to study the Morphin Grid.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be awesome, yeah.
Something else that we noticed is that none of the Rangers seem to have any formal martial arts training, unlike their counterparts on the show.
Now, yes, Jason had training being a sports star, so he had agility and all that stuff. Trini may have had some yoga, karate background, as evident by the pose she was doing on the rocks. But none of them really had that training that made them as skilled as fighters as the Rangers in the TV show.
In the show, Kimberly had gymnastics training. That was her big thing.
Right.
And I think that was hinted at a little bit with her being the former head of the cheerleading squad, and she does this awesome, cool backflip dive into the water.
Yeah.
But luckily, the power coins seem to have given the Rangers extra strength and agility that they are lacking from not being formally trained.
That's right. After acquiring the power coins, the Rangers become super strong, are able to jump huge distances, and become more resistant to injury, all while being unmorphed.
Now, some may be upset because that's not how it happened in the original series. But we're okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because after the Morphin Grid has bonded with you, do you really expect to be the same?
No. Is the right answer.
That's right.
Another major source of criticism in this movie is the alien feeling we get from looking at the suits and even the command center.
That's right. The command center is a spaceship that's been buried underground for 65 million years, and the only way to get to it is by swimming.
To us, this makes more sense as opposed to the command center that we see in the show. In the show, it's just this building up on top of this mountain range, and we find it hard to believe that the government or some civilians aren't walking by and want to know, what's this random building doing here? To us, the hidden spaceship command center makes much more sense.
And why create a whole new one when you already have one on the ship?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Alright, now it's time to touch on a very touchy subject in the Power Rangers fandom, Alpha and Goldar.
We, like most of you, had a hard time with Alpha and Goldar. When we first saw the concept art, it didn't seem right, but we will admit that by the time the movie came around, we were okay with Alpha.
Mm-hmm.
Goldar, not so much.
Actually, after seeing the movie, I didn't mind Goldar all that much. For sure, he was terrifying. If I saw a gold, melty-looking being coming my way, I would definitely freak out. And he actually had more free will than most people thought.
Yeah.
Even though we did see Rita kind of become absorbed into Goldar, he wasn't really a Zord. He still had that free will, entity, destroy whatever I want type of mentality. It didn't, again, look like the Goldar of old, but I'm okay with that.
I guess I kind of agree. Goldar was definitely an extension of Rita's power in this movie instead of being his own character. But, like you said, he did have a little bit more free will. Mm-hmm. We even hear Rita call Goldar my friend.
Yeah.
So I guess I would say I wish that he could have been more like the Goldar from the show, but I didn't hate this Goldar.
Okay. Well said. Alright, toward the end of the movie, we received an answer to a question that we had long ago. Why dinosaurs? Why?
Yes, we finally know why the Zords are modeled after dinosaurs, and the answer actually makes a lot of sense. The Zords are dinosaurs because dinosaurs were the dominant species when the Zords were made.
It makes sense. We know that Zordon and his team came to Earth during the reign of dinosaurs, as evidenced in the opening scene.
Speaking of the Zords, I was super excited to see the Rangers actually use their Zords independently. We got to see them talk to each other, form plans, and fight before forming the actual Megazord. Now, granted, they didn't know how to form the Megazord, but still.
Moving on now, let's talk about some Easter eggs, some nods to the original show that maybe you missed, but we didn't.
First up, the colors. Right away we could tell what color each Ranger is destined to become. They all had something that was indicated what color they would be, just like in the show.
Jason wrecked his red truck, which, by the way, was a Ford Ranger. Kimberly's swimming attire was pink, albeit a very dark pink, but hey, we definitely didn't mind that at all.
Billy had a blue jacket on, Trini sported a yellow beanie cap, and Zach was nearly dressed head to toe in all black.
An Easter egg that I noticed came while Jason's dad was driving downtown during Rita's rampage. He's on the phone trying to call Jason, and he said he is at the corner of Mariner Bay and Reefside.
Mariner Bay, of course, is the location of the aqua base for the Lightspeed Rescue Team. And Reefside is the name of the town in Dino Thunder. Two great nods to two great series.
If you look closely, there's a stained glass saber-tooth tiger window in Trini's room. Okay, so just a little nod to that as well. So it's definitely cool Easter eggs. But it seems there was something else. Were there any other ties?
It seems that there was one more. What was it?
Oh, I know. Alpha said I.
Yes!
Yeah, so that was a nod. In the pit, we saw a scorpion crawl by.
Yeah.
That could have been a nod to Scorpina.
Right, yeah, and when they first took out the Zords, it was reminiscent of the show,
right?
Which was remixed version of the main theme.
Right. But it seems like there was something else, something big. It
it must be the cameo by JDF and Amy Jo Johnson. I love you, JDF.
Yes, of course, the cameo. Although, can we really say it was a cameo? I mean, the director had the camera operator zoom way in. I mean, he was practically shouting, "Hey, look, right here, JDF, Amy Jo."
Yeah, the only way it could have been more obvious is if JDF would have been all like, "It's Morphin time."
Yeah. Oh, funny.
Eagle Eye fans will also notice another Easter egg about them. JDF was wearing that beautiful green, and Amy Jo's jacket was a nice shade of pink.
I wonder if their wardrobes have any other colors in them. Just all green, all pink, they're colored in that for life. That would suck.
If you saw the movie and noticed any other Easter eggs we may have missed, please leave them in the comments below.
Finally, we're going to end this episode with some questions that we have.
The first one, and a pretty easy one to be curious about, what's with the slapping? We see it twice. Was Jason just being funny? Did he not want to leave bruises on the bully, or what?
Nah, we have no idea. Maybe that's just his style. Who knows? Our second question, what led Billy to the power coins in the first place? Did he know something of value was hidden there?
We see him looking at and plotting points on a map in detention, but was that the point, the result of research, or did he just pick up someplace him and his father did not excavate yet?
Question.
Third, how did the Rangers get home after the collision with the train? Was the morphing grid responsible?
We saw flashes of color in the van. We assume each power coin produced those flashes of light, of course. Was that the morphing grid bonding with the Rangers? Or was it teleporting them home? Remember in the show, they would teleport in those flashes of light.
Oh.
So,
and we definitely know that the coins have teleportation capability.
That's true.
Because of the sink and the bedroom.
With Jason, yeah.
Next, is there a connection between Zach and Trini that there is in the comics? We kind of see a little spark between them. They seem to be concerned mostly for each other. Zach asks about Trini's well-being, and Trini pleads for Zach to stay with her after he passes out in the Zord.
Our next question relates to Zordon. The next few questions actually relate to Zordon. First being, how did he know Jason's name?
Is there some sort of connection between him and Jason because they're both Red Rangers? Zordon does answer Jason's question with, because it's you, the Red Ranger. So maybe there is that connection there.
Maybe. Our second question to Zordon is, did he really not come through the grid because he knew his place and wanted Billy to come back through, or because he knew that there cannot be two Rangers of the same color, as we've seen in the show?
Yeah, something I noticed, just the way he said it, it just seemed like he wanted to come through, but realized, wait, I still can't be the Red Ranger, so I might as well let Billy come back to life. It just seemed a little off to me.
Yeah.
So furthermore, how was Billy able to come back to life? Does the spirit of a ranger go into the morphing grid, kind of like heaven? And if the door opens, are they always able to return? Or is life on Earth connected to the morphing grid through the Zeo crystal?
I kind of like that one, because we learned the Zeo crystal is the source of all life on Earth, and once that life is over, where does that life go?
Right.
Maybe it goes back to the Zeo crystal, and we know the Zeo crystal is connected to the morphing grid, so therefore, life could be connected to the morphing grid. Yeah. Now I have a question about Rita. What's her relationship with gold? I mean, really. We know she used it to create Goldar, but it seems to go a little bit farther than that, doesn't it?
It's almost like a health rejuvenation for her.
Yeah.
The more she consumes, the more her body heals.
Mm-hmm.
But why gold? We don't know. We did notice that her suit had no gold shield, like Tommy's Gold Ranger. Is that a coincidence? We don't know.
Maybe it got absorbed into her or something, and now she needs to feed it, or who knows?
Yeah.
Another Rita question though is we hear say others will come for the Zeo crystal. Little foreshadowing. Maybe it's Lord Zed. Maybe, who knows?
Another question we had is now what? Do the Rangers just return to their normal lives after accomplishing this mission? Do they still come and visit the command center? Are they even needed?
It certainly didn't feel like there was any more after that. Jason put the power sword in the command center. It felt like they were returning to their normal lives. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I would, if I found the command center, I'm spending a lot of time there. I'm not just giving it up to go back to my regular life.
Yeah, not even a full month.
Yeah.
It says they said 11 days before Rita's return. I just want to throw this out here.
Okay.
But in the training room, he marks out the 11 days, and then they're still training.
Yeah.
So Alpha was wrong in his calculations.
Aye.
Finally, something that's been bugging me. Why does Trini keep getting called Dee Dee?
My personal opinion, it's just a running gag. I'm not reading anything into it, but Chris over here thinks it might be a little something more.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I think it's a joke, but it just seems weird that something that's supposed to be a joke gets turned over to the villain. Rita even says, little Dee Dee, or whatever.
At the end, before she leaves.
Yeah. So we hear it from Rita. We hear it from Zach. We hear it from Billy's mom at the very end. Yeah. I want to say we hear it a couple other places too.
Now, granted, Trini is a very unusual name, so maybe they just messed it up. Those are my thoughts, but Chris does have a point. How can so many people mess it up in the exact same way?
Well, and not only that, but Rita apparently has some sort of psychic ability when she's able to know that Billy knows the location of the Zeo crystal.
Right.
How she's able to know which ranger is which color.
Okay.
And stuff like that. So for her to say Dee Dee, maybe in this movie her name is Dee Dee, but she prefers to go by Trini.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Good point. Anyways, something else we wanted to talk about is Alpha. Chris pointed out something that I found interesting.
So, Alpha is an acronym.
Right.
And I couldn't quite catch the whole thing, but I heard that the last letter stood for Android. This is an awesome concept, but my only problem with this is they originally speak this alien language. Mm-hmm. So why would Alpha's name be based on an acronym in English?
They did mention English is a dialect, which is a form of that language. So maybe he was named early on in the development of the language, and just, who knows? Yeah. Now let's talk about some scenes that we have seen in the trailers, but did make the cut into the movie. The most obvious, or probably most talked about, is going to be the kiss between Kim and Jason, which was eventually axed from the movie.
I have read that in test groups it didn't test well. Not because that Kim doesn't belong with Jason, but more because kissing in that scene made the scene go from Jason being there to support Kimberly to be more about Kimberly kind of being there to support Jason. And without the kiss in there, it made Kimberly seem like a stronger character.
Quick, Becky G or Naomi Scott?
Becky G.
Naomi Scott. So we're not going to fight over that one.
Nope.
Ladies, if you're watching, give us a call. Yeah. Give me a call. Other scenes that were missing from the movie were Zach training on the moving train, Zach jumping into a pile of trash. I'm glad that was cut. Trini's locker scene, and we never got to hear the girl bullies, who we hope are Bulk and Skull. Would be a weird twist, but we never see in the movie them say tragic to Kim.
Yeah, in a trailer, where they say, "Oh, so this is where you've been coming instead of cheer practice." Tragic. You know? But they never actually said tragic in the movie.
Yeah. If there are any other scenes from the trailers that didn't make it into the movies that we may have missed, let us know.
Amens.
In conclusion, we think this movie is a great reboot to the series, and most of the fans we talked about think so too.
Yeah. There was actually a little boy in one of our many showings that was inspired by Billy. He came down when the movie was over. He was like, "I'm just like Billy," you know, and it turned out he was autistic himself, and it was just kind of cool to see a character like Billy being able to inspire a kid.
Yeah, you know? Very, very heartwarming. We look forward to the sequels
or prequels
and what they're going to bring and add to the storyline, and we can't wait to see how the story develops. What did they say? 6 movie arc?
Yeah.
Maybe? Yeah. So Power Rangers is going to be around for a long time. And remember, if you need any news or any thoughts about Power Rangers, see us.
If you have any thoughts about our review, be sure to write them in the comments again. Thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing.
And do not forget to ring that bell so you get notified when we upload new videos.
If you go here, you can like us on Facebook.
If you go here, you can follow us on Twitter.
And if you go here, you can follow us on Instagram.
And remember, as we sign off, our hope is that the power will always protect you.
Let's power down.